A long-lost friend texted me. "Hey man, you doing okay?" I didn't know what he meant. I just replied, "All good." What? He didn't answer. 2 weeks later, my world blew up. I was in the backyard cleaning the grill when my mom showed up. "We need to talk," she said. For words that never lead anywhere good. "I'm going to get straight to the point," she continued. "Your father and Rachel, they had an affair." She blinked fast, lips trembling, but the words kept coming like a faucet that couldn't be shut off. "Rachel's son, the one she had during your marriage, he's not yours. He's your half-brother, your father's child." I didn't say a word, just stood up and walked back into the house like I was checking the weather or something. My mom followed me in. "And there's more," she said, voice cracking. "He's sick. The boy. He has a rare illness, and the treatment is expensive. Rachel and your father, they came to me because they don't have the money. They want you to help. They said, you're still family. You have to save an innocent child," she said, pleading now. "He's part of your family, whether you like it or not." I remember laughing. Not because it was funny. It was the kind of laugh you let out when your brain's short-circuiting and needs to release steam. "I'm not paying a dime," I said. Her eyes welled up. "He's just a child." Then maybe his parents should have thought of that before they burned everything to the ground. I wasn't just betrayed. I was made into a villain for not sacrificing myself again. They cheated, lied, and hid the truth for years, and then they had the gall to come crawling when the consequences finally caught up with them. After my mom left, I didn't move for a while. I sat on the edge of the couch, hands clasped like I was waiting for some judge to pass a sentence. The house felt like a stranger. The wedding photo on the mantel mocked me. Rachel in her white dress, my old man smiling in the front row, proud as ever. I stared at that photo for what felt like hours. Eventually, I picked it up, and I threw it into the wall. The frame cracked, but didn't shatter, like it still had something to prove. That night, I didn't sleep. Just sat in the kitchen with a notepad and a pen, thinking. Not about the betrayal, not anymore. That part had sunk in, cold and final. What I thought about was what came next. You see, some people take betrayal and try to move on. Heal. Grow. Forgive. That wasn't me. I wasn't interested in healing. I was interested in making sure they never forgot who they messed with. So first, I started asking questions. Quietly. I called an old friend from college who worked at the county clerk's office. "Hey," I said, as casual as I could manage. "Is there any way to check a kid's birth certificate? Just curious about paternity details." There was a pause on the line. "Only if you're the father." I smirked. "That's what I'm trying to figure out." Next, I pulled up my old login to the joint health insurance Rachel and I had during our marriage. And there it was. A hospital record tied to the kid. And whose name was listed under father? Not mine. Just like my mom said, my father's name. He hadn't even tried to hide it. Maybe he thought I'd never look. I dug deeper. I learned the kid's full name. Elliot James. Elliot James Waller. Waller. Rachel's maiden name. Guess naming him after the man who actually fathered him was a bit too much to stomach. Even for her. I could have stopped there. But I wanted more. I wanted the full picture. So I called around. Quietly. My dad's coworkers. A cousin I hadn't seen in years. A couple old drinking buddies from the VFW. And one by one, the puzzle pieces started falling into place. Apparently, it wasn't just an affair. It had been going on before Rachel and I even got married. Some of them had suspected it. Others had seen things, touches that lingered too long, side glances, inside jokes. A few even tried to hint at it years back, but I'd brushed them off. I was too in love to notice. Too blind to see that my wife was sleeping with the man who taught me how to ride a bike. Now here's the kicker. My father didn't just steal my wife. He lied to my face for years, called me son, while raising one with her behind my back. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. Well, I figured if I was going to serve it, it might as well be on fine china with a linen napkin, polished and methodical. I didn't want just a reaction. I wanted consequences. The first thing I did was clean house, literally and figuratively. I boxed up every photo of Rachel in my home. All the wedding pictures, anniversary frames, cute little mementos from trips I thought meant something. Gone. Just like that. I didn't burn them. I'm not a teenager throwing a tantrum. I donated them. Quietly. Someone else could use the frames. The memories? Those were useless to me now. I canceled the joint account we'd kept open just in case after the divorce. I figured if she and my old man were so committed to playing house, they could finance their fantasy without me. Next came the will. I met with my lawyer and rewrote every line. If something ever happened to me, none of it, not a single dime, would touch anyone with the last name Waller. Not Rachel, not my father, and certainly not their love child. I didn't care if the boy was innocent. So was I, until they carved me up like Thanksgiving dinner. A week after my mother's visit, my phone rang again. It was Rachel. First time I'd heard her voice in over a year. "Hey," she said, soft and sweet like we were still something. "Can we talk? You want to talk now?" I said. "After you played me like a scratch-off ticket?" There was a pause. "I know you're angry," she said. "And you have every right to be. But this isn't about us. This is about a child. Your child. And his," I replied. Funny how it becomes my responsibility when things go south. Another pause. I could hear her breathing through the phone. "He's dying," she finally whispered. "We can't afford the treatment." "My dad. He's already taken out a second mortgage." "You mean my dad?" I cut in. "The same man who used to give me advice on how to keep my marriage strong while he was sleeping with my wife? That one." She didn't respond. So I gave her my answer. "I'll pray for the boy. But I'm not paying for the fallout of your betrayal." She cried. Not the dramatic sobbing kind. Just that quiet, breathless cry women do when they know they've got nothing left to barter with. It might have worked on the old me. The man who still believed in second chances. The man who used to bring her flowers after arguments. But not this version. This version had wised up. After I hung up, I didn't feel anger. Not really. Just a strange sense of relief. It was like stepping out of a fog I hadn't realized I'd been living in. Later that night, I got a message from my cousin Pete. He'd heard about the situation and offered to meet up for a beer. Said I could use a friend. Turned out, Pete had some stories of his own. Turns out, my father's hands had been in more cookie jars than I thought. A secretary back in the early 2000s. A neighbor's wife. A woman from church. The man had a reputation, one I'd been blind to my whole life. "Your dad," Pete said, shaking his head over a pint. "He's a snake. Always has been. Just knew how to smile while he did it. He ran the local contracting business, Waller and Sons. I used to be the and Sons before I left after the divorce. Technically, I still own part of the company. Small share, but legally binding. Back then, I didn't see the point of cashing out. Now? Now I saw an opportunity. Step 1. I called in a favor. A buddy of mine from high school, Greg, worked at the local paper. He owed me one from years ago. Long story involving a broken-down truck, a snowstorm, and my extra jacket. "Greg," I said, "you still do those community spotlight articles?" "Yeah," he said slowly. "Why?" "I've got a story you might want to hear. But it comes with receipts." He was hesitant. Journalism isn't as bold as it used to be, but once I mentioned the name Waller, his ears perked up. I didn't give everything away on the phone. Just enough to spark curiosity. "I'll email you what I've got," I said. "Let me know if it's worth your time." That night, I sent Greg a neatly packaged folder. Screenshots of texts, a timeline of events, even the health insurance records showing my father listed as the boy's biological parent. I didn't frame it as gossip. I framed it as corruption, a respected business owner abusing his position and destroying families from within. Greg called me the next morning. "This is insane," he said. "Yep," I replied. "And every word's true." "You sure you want to do this?" "Oh, I've never been more sure of anything in my life." 2 weeks later, the story dropped. The headline read, "Reputation and Reality, The Hidden Life of George Waller." They kept it clean. No names of the child, no graphic details, but the facts were clear. George Waller, community figure, father of 2, had been exposed for having a long-standing affair with his son's wife and fathering a child with her during their marriage. My name wasn't in the article, but everyone knew. I didn't go outside that day. Didn't need to. The text messages poured in. Some people were shocked. Some were disgusted. A few were brave enough to admit they'd always suspected something was off about him. The cherry on top? The board of directors at Waller and Sons called an emergency meeting the next morning. Turns out, clients weren't thrilled about being associated with a business whose owner made soap opera villains look tame. I didn't attend the meeting. I sent a proxy, my lawyer. He brought with him a motion to remove George Waller from the company. And just like that, my father was out. A week later, I walked into the office for the first time in months. The place was quiet. A few employees looked up, unsure of what to say. I didn't offer a speech. I just nodded. "Let's get back to work," I said. This company still means something. That night, my phone rang. Blocked number. I answered anyway. You think you're a man now? My father growled. You think this makes you better than me? No, I said calmly. I think it makes me honest. Something you've never been. You just destroyed your own family's name. No, I replied. You did that. I just made sure you couldn't hide it anymore. It didn't take long for Rachel to show up at my doorstep. I didn't say a word. Just opened the door and leaned against the frame. She shifted her weight. Can I come in? Depends, I said. You here to lie some more, or just cry? Her jaw tightened. That fake humility cracked just a little. I want to talk, she said. Not yell. You talked plenty when you were sneaking around. What's left to say? She hesitated, then looked up at me with those same wide eyes I used to find beautiful. Now, they just looked tired. I didn't think it would go that far, she said. That line. That's what cheaters say when they get caught. Like betrayal is a slippery slope, and they just happened to fall down it by accident. It started after one of your business trips, she continued. We were drunk. He was comforting. Comforting. I repeated, my voice flat. You let my father comfort you into bed? I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered. You did it for years, Rachel. She looked down. No comeback for that. Then she tried the emotional card. Elliot's sick. I'm scared. George isn't speaking to me. He's blaming me for everything. I have no money, and my parents won't even let me move back in. I'm alone. I finished for her. She nodded. Well, welcome to it. I didn't slam the door. I just closed it quietly. But I knew that wasn't the end of it. Because Rachel wasn't the type to go quietly. She was desperate now, and desperate people get stupid. Later that week, I found out she'd applied for emergency medical funding under my old health insurance. Somehow, she thought maybe the system would overlook the fact that I'd removed her and the boy months ago. It didn't. I got a letter from the insurer. Flagged attempt. Fraudulent claim. That was the last straw. So I called her. Calmly. I'm going to give you a choice, I said. Withdraw that claim, or I report it myself. She didn't speak. And if you think I'm bluffing, remember, I'm the one who buried my own father's business. I will do it. Why are you doing this? She snapped finally. What happened to the man who loved me? He died the day you brought my son into the world and handed him to my father. She withdrew the claim the next morning. I wanted her to understand what it felt like to lose everything she used to prop herself up. So I made a few calls. A buddy of mine worked with a woman named Erin, a no-nonsense HR manager at the high-end firm Rachel had been trying to get hired at. She'd listed me as a reference. Bold, right? Erin called me to verify some details. I don't usually ask this, she said, but anything I should know? I kept it polite. Professional. Just the facts. Well, I said, she was married to me while having an affair with my father. Then used my name to try and file for fraudulent medical benefits. Take from that what you will. I'd always kept things clean, minimal, probably from growing up watching people cling to clutter like it gave them purpose. But lately, I started adding back a few things. Framed photos of my mom and me when I was a kid. My old baseball glove. A small wooden box that held my grandfather's watch. Real things. True things. No more pretending. I didn't check in on Rachel or my father. I didn't need to. Word got around. Rachel had moved into a tiny apartment across town. My father, after being pushed out of Waller and Sons, was laying low, supposedly staying with a cousin who wasn't smart enough to turn him away. Their mutual fallout had scorched everyone around them. Even the loyal folks had backed off. Funny thing about people, they love you when you're useful, but the second you start to sink, they scatter like roaches. Meanwhile, I was getting back to me. I restructured the business. Renamed it. Garrison Contracting. My middle name. My mother's maiden name. A quiet tribute to the parent who never betrayed me. I made it clear, we weren't just doing jobs. We were rebuilding trust. A company that did things the right way. No shortcuts, no games. And slowly, people came back. Not just for the work, but for the way we ran things. Clients would shake my hand, look me in the eye, and say, heard what happened. You handled it like a man. I didn't need applause. But I won't lie, that respect? It meant something. Then, something unexpected happened. One morning, I got a letter. Not from Rachel. Not from my father. From a lawyer. A petition for partial guardianship, Rachel naming me as a possible moral and financial support figure for Elliot. That one stung. Not because I missed the boy, truth be told, I barely knew him, but because she still didn't get it. She still thought she could play the sympathy card and back me into a corner using morals. I sat with that letter a long time. Couldn't even be angry. Just exhausted. I called my lawyer, handed it off, and told him what to do. Decline it. Politely, but firmly. But what if it goes to court? He asked. Let it, I said. I've got truth on my side. They've only got guilt. Truth always wins. Eventually, I started spending more time with my nephews. My sister's boys. Good kids, smart, loud, always sticky for some reason. They didn't know the whole story, just that Uncle Jay had a rough patch. One night, I was helping them build a backyard treehouse. Middle of hammering a plank, the youngest one, Wyatt, looked up and asked, Uncle Jay, why don't you have kids? Caught me off guard. I smiled and shrugged. Just worked out that way. He nodded like it made perfect sense, then added, That's okay. You're still my favorite grown-up. See, the thing people don't tell you about betrayal is that the damage doesn't always show up like fireworks. Sometimes it sneaks in through the cracks. You'll be driving, windows down, song you used to love playing, and suddenly it hits you. They did this to me. And they walked away like it was nothing. That thought haunted me a lot in the early months. But I didn't let it romp me. I let it remind me. It reminded me how easily people can smile to your face while sinking the knife in your back. How love, if left unchecked, turns into a leash. And how the strongest thing you'll ever do is cut it and walk away. One afternoon, I got a voicemail. From my mom. She hadn't called since the day she first broke the truth to me. Her voice cracked as she spoke. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know. I'm proud of you. That one hit harder than anything Rachel or my father ever said. Because my mom had known for a while. Not the whole thing, not Elliot, but the late nights, the glances, the tension. She didn't say anything. Maybe she thought it wasn't her place. Maybe she just hoped it would pass. But now, she was in the fallout too. Alone. Embarrassed. Heartbroken. She'd filed for divorce. 50 years of marriage, and my father tossed it like a receipt. I called her back. We didn't say much. Just sat in the quiet. Sometimes that's all you need. From that point on, we started having dinner once a week. Simple stuff. Roast chicken, pasta, meatloaf like she used to make when I was a kid. We didn't talk about the mess. We didn't need to. It was there in the background, sure, but it didn't own the room anymore. We talked about other things. The business. My nephews. Her garden. Old recipes. One night, she looked across the table and said, You remind me of your grandfather. He was quiet too. But when he had something to say, the whole room listened. That might be the best compliment I've ever received. Meanwhile, Rachel tried to take a softer approach. She started posting online vague, pity-baiting posts. Things like some mistakes are unforgivable, but when you're trying to save a child, where's the line? Or, at what point does punishment become cruelty? She never named me. Didn't have to. Everyone knew. I didn't respond. Not once. She wanted a reaction. I gave her silence. Because the opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference.